Do you ever get sucked down a social media rabbit hole? Actually, I don't think that's even a question in today's day and age. That happened to me just a few days ago, when I stumbled upon a Twitter post from user AkiWorks, who drew up a diagram of fictional detectives who could solve the mystery showcased in the classic anime Death Note. So many characters were listed in this diagram, from Blue's Clues to Columbo to Batman and beyond. To me, this was a genius idea, and it got me thinking, what if I took a similar approach, at least with the detectives I already know on this list, and throw them into a tier list, ranking them similarly to how this diagram presents them? Because what shill of a content creator doesn't do tier lists at this point? There were certain criteria in place for such a list, however. Involving such an unusual mystery, the top tier was the detectives that could nail every aspect of the case. The second tier was detectives that could figure out the culprit but not uncover the method. The third tier was detectives who could uncover the method but not figure out the culprit. And the bottom tiers were those who were so useless they couldn't figure out any of it at all. Obviously this is different from any other video I've done, so please like and subscribe, keep me in the algorithm. Thanks, and enjoy the video. So I don't know if any of you are familiar with Death Note. You probably know this, because it's a classic, modern classic anime at this point, I'd say. Essentially, you know, the concept is that kid gets a death tome, he can write anyone's name in it, they are iced, and there's a whole mystery about, like, this other detective named L is trying to solve the mystery of how these people are dying, and who is doing it. So, I wanted to take that idea and actually apply it to something else, using other fictional detectives here. So, for those who don't know, there was a recent viral, pretty viral Twitter post that came out. Essentially, it's taking a bunch of fictional detectives and putting them in the universe of Death Note and trying to see which one could solve the mystery first. So, like, there's all these fictional detectives, right? I thought about this. I'm like, you know what? I want to do this for myself. I want to make a whole tier list of fictional detectives. So I took a lot of the ones that I do know on this list. Because I don't know all of them, I'll be totally honest. There's only... Most of the ones I know are, like, you know, cartoon, anime, gaming ones, obviously. Because that's just me as a person. There's a few I know. I know Columbo, obviously. I know Monk. I know Sean Spencer. I know all that stuff. I don't know Bones enough. I never watched Bones. I saw Layton on there, yes. Layton's on there, Phoenix Wright, Sam and Max, Scooby-Doo, Blue's Clues for some reason showed up. So this is their list, like I was saying. I made my own. We're gonna rank this. This will be the stream for today. Because I am very curious to figure this out. So I'll need everyone's help, obviously, to figure out who could solve the Death Note mystery. And I am excited to have you all help me solve this mystery. Really fun. Though I say Ghost Trick can discover both. Yeah, you know what? I think that's an easy one just to say first. I think that's an immediate would nail it. I'm gonna just get that out of the way first. He would nail it, because Cecil, he played Ghost Trick a while ago, as probably a lot of you saw. But yeah, he's dead. He's a ghost. He talks to other ghosts. He knows. He would figure it out. So yes, he would nail it, just by default. So let's start with Ace Attorney. This is just Phoenix. I put Phoenix on there. I think I also put Edgeworth on here. I'm gonna organize them all, actually. I put Maya, Phoenix, Edgeworth, Dick, and a few others all kind of in a row. Considering Phoenix, so for those who don't know, in every game, he just kind of bluffs his way out of everything. He doesn't really figure things out, I wouldn't say. He tends to bluff things and then figure out. That's how he gets out of every situation. That's kind of his gimmick in every game. So I would say he would discover the method, but not the culprit. And Dick wouldn't figure anything out, I don't think. Because he's like the butt of every joke in all of those games, pretty much. You think Phoenix would find the culprit? Wait, why? Give a reason. Because the culprit would come as a witness. Oh, true. Okay. I still think Dick wouldn't get it. I wonder about Edgeworth. Edgeworth obviously actually has skill as an attorney. Would he figure out both, though? I figure he would only figure out one of them, wouldn't he? He would find the culprit, but not the method. I agree with that. Because he doesn't really think about magical stuff. I would find the method, but not the culprit. I agree with that, too. Because Maya actually deals with, you know, she's a spirit medium. She deals with ghosts all the time. We're on to Layton's stuff now. So I think for Layton characters, I think, yeah, he would nail it. I think that's a pretty easy assessment. Professor Layton has dealt with supernatural stuff, especially like in Azran Legacy. And unwound seizure, to a degree, at least, I mean, that's more like unnatural stuff, I'd say. He does deal with real time travel in that game, for those who don't know. Death Note, that reminds me of a puzzle. Yeah, exactly. He would say that. Descalay, I wonder... I mean, they're brothers, so I think he'd nail it too. Catriel would not figure anything out, I don't think. For those who don't know, this is the worst Layton game ever. It's not even really a Layton game, though. It's a bad game, anyway. Do not play this game, ever. If you value your sanity and your time, don't play this game. Emmy... I think Emmy would find the culprit, but not the method. Sean Spencer. You know what? The more I think about it, Sean Spencer is kind of like Phoenix in a weird sort of way. Like, he bluffs his way out of a lot of things, too. Because he's bluffing as a psychic to begin with. That's the whole, like, hook of the show. I feel like he could find the culprit, but he probably wouldn't find the method, I feel like. Kind of like these other two. Dexter Morgan, that's an interesting one. It's so weird, like, dealing with these more grounded detectives and kind of how they would approach a case that deals with very not grounded circumstances. Like, I'd say, yeah, I'd find the culprit, but not the method. The Courage would probably figure out, yes, Courage would absolutely nail it. You know what, I'm just gonna put that up there. That's a given, I think, as well. Courage would nail it. I think that's totally a given. Batman, yep, that is absolutely nailing it, 100%. Batman deals with all kinds of magical things in his own world, because he's a DC Comics character, and he is the world's greatest detective. Rorschach from Watchmen, who is basically the well, I was gonna say he's the Watchmen equivalent of Batman, but that's not really true. He would still figure it out, because he deals with all that stuff anyway, still. On Nightwing, same thing, because he's with Batman. Hermione would nail it? Yeah, she will. Because Hermione deals with magic all the time. She has spell books, and the Death Note essentially is a spell book. Veronica Mars, I put that on there, but I don't know enough about Veronica Mars. I've never seen the show. Veronica Mars is a great show. I've never seen it, Rag. So you've seen it then. Would she get it? She's a grounded one. So that's the thing with this list. It makes it more interesting, because a lot of these detectives I have on here are actually very grounded, you know. Person, not method, that makes sense. I feel like a lot of the more grounded ones will end up here. Funnily enough, Emmy is actually, you know, from Layton. She's not really that grounded, because she is from a video game stylized after Ghibli movies. She hasn't seen as much as Layton has, I feel like, so I would say she would just do that. Murder, She Wrote person. What's her name again? Such a fraud. I don't know the woman from Murder, She Wrote. Murder, She Wrote woman. Oh, Jessica Fletcher, right. Okay, I can remember that. Personally, I do know the show, so I would say, yeah, same thing there. Jessica Jones. I think she would nail it. Those who don't know, Jessica Jones is from the Marvel universe, so I think, yeah, she'd get it. Absolutely. But Perry the Platypus too, yes, we'll get to him. We'll get to Perry. That'll be another interesting one, to say the least. Hercule Agatha Christie guy. I can't ever pronounce his name. I'm not gonna bother. I think he wouldn't figure anything out, actually. I'd debate that, but I also just can't pronounce his name, so I'm not gonna. Inspector Gadget. Actually, he wouldn't figure anything out either, because he doesn't even figure anything out on his own show. It's always Penny and the dog, Brain or whatever. They always do the most work for him. He doesn't do anything. They're doing all the work for him. He's a terrible inspector, but it is a funny show. Yeah, Sam and Max, they'd nail it. I think that's pretty easy. I love Sam and Max, by the way. What a great series. The comics, the cartoon, games, all great. Highly recommend. Max would write an entry. This is a psychopath, so he totally would. Dick Tracy. He's a comic book cartoon type character. Well, I don't know enough about Dick Tracy. Put him in Don't Know, I guess. But Columbo would nail it. I think that's a pretty easy one to determine. Nancy Drew. That's a tougher one, because she's a teenager. Can she, like, wrap her head around that at that age, I wonder? I would assume she wouldn't figure anything out, just because she is on the younger end of actually everyone here, pretty much. Gadget from, well, hang on, let's do Chip and Dale first. They'd get the culprit. Gadget would get the method, because she's definitely the smartest one on the show. This category is very small so far, I'm noticing. Kyoko from Danganronpa, I think she would nail it, personally. She's a detective in that first game. I have never actually played them. I did watch a friend play the whole series, so I know enough about them. Perry the Platypus. He has dealt with supernatural stuff. He's met aliens and stuff before, so actually, I think Perry the Platypus would nail it too. Roger Rabbit. Oh, that's a weird one. Roger and Eddie, more like. Probably more so Eddie, because he's actually the detective. He lives in a world with little cartoon characters walking around. So he's seen weird stuff, but I don't know if he's seen like that weird. I think he get the culprit, but not the method. It's sort of similar there. Blue's Clues. Actually, I think Blue's Clues would figure out the method, but not the culprit. This is a more obscure one. This is Query from that recent Tron game that came out that we played on stream, actually. He's a detective program within the world of Tron. That's tougher, because I don't know. He's a computer program. I think he'd find the culprit, but not the method. I don't know if there's really a magic to Tron. It's all this, you know, bio-digital jazz, as Jeff Bridges calls it. I would say for Charmy, he would not figure anything out. I think that's pretty obvious. Vector, because Charmy sucks, by the way. Vector would figure out the culprit, but not the method, I think. And Espio, I would actually say Espio would nail it. Because Espio is absolutely the voice of reason among them all. Like, in every adaptation. He's always the only, like, sane one. And the only one who really does anything. He's the only one who could do it, I think. Rouge the Bat. I put her on here because she actually does a lot of treasure hunting and sleuthing herself in the games. I think she'd find the method, not the culprit. Probably because she would get distracted by a jewel or Knuckles. Secret Squirrel. I don't think he'd figure anything out. Oh, Gus from Psych. I'm gonna say he would do the same as Sean. Cassian Andor. I think he would nail it. For those who don't know, in Star Wars, he's actually an intelligence officer. Okay, so we have Sly Cooper, Bentley the Turtle, Murray the Hippo, and Carmelita Fox, all from the Sly Cooper series. I don't know. I don't think you'd actually figure anything out, come to think of it. That's a tougher one to figure out. I'm gonna say don't know for Sly, to be honest. I don't know. For Bentley, he's pretty scientific, so I think he actually would figure out the culprit. He's smart. Murray wouldn't figure anything out. I think that's pretty obvious. Carmelita, I put Carmelita on the same tier as Bentley there. Indiana Jones. I think Indiana Jones would nail it, actually. Indiana Jones has seen a lot of supernatural stuff in those movies. Angels and demons, I think, coming out of an ark of the Covenant and killing people and melting their faces off. He's dealt with, like, a ghost of a night. He's dealt with aliens, too. His name isn't even Indiana, so, like, get him. Kyle? Yeah, Kyle from Hotel Dusk. I haven't played this. I put him because he is on the actual list here. I don't know enough about him. For now, I'll put him on Don't Know. Django Fett. I put him on here because Django Fett does have, like, some sleuthing storylines and a lot of, like, expanded Star Wars media. I would say he'd find the culprit, not the method. He's smart. He's a hunter. You know, he's a bounty hunter, so I think he'd figure that out. And he also has a bunch of clones, so even if Light, you know, kills him, writes his name in there, all his clones can go after him. Tintin. Tintin's a harder one. He's more grounded, actually, as far as these, like, cartoon detective explorer things go. He'd nail it, actually. He's kind of like Indiana Jones, since he has seen some supernatural stuff. Thompson and Thompson would not figure anything out. I think that's pretty obvious. The Hardy Boys. I'd say the Hardy Boys would not figure anything out. I don't think he'd figure it out. Penguins of Madagascar. As much as I love the Penguins of Madagascar, and how I think they're the only good parts of those movies, they wouldn't figure anything out. It sucks, but they wouldn't. Maybe Kowalski would get close, but collectively, no, they couldn't get it. The guy from LA Noire, what's his name, Cole Phelps? I think he'd find the culprit. All these, like, kid detective characters, it's so goofy seeing them tackle something as serious as Death Note's mystery. Light is gonna solo some kids who, yeah, exactly, Carter. I think he'd solo all these kids. Yeah, I think I'm gonna just, you know, pretty obvious. Encyclopedia Brown wouldn't figure that out. And no, Jigsaw Jones would not either. They would probably die. So, yeah, I think that's a pretty much a given. Inspector Gadget was really easy to list as not figuring anything out, because we talked about it before, but Penny, who I also put on the list, is the only one that does anything. So I think actually Penny, I'll put her up here, she'd nail it. Monk is next. I think Monk would figure out the culprit, but not the method. Oh, A to Z Mysteries, yeah, no, that's easy. They're like all these other kid detectives. I'm just gonna put them all in a group there. None of these kid detectives would figure anything out. I think that's obvious. Raelle from Ergo Proxy. I don't know how many of you have seen that, but she would nail it, in my opinion. So Stanford would nail it. This is from Gravity Falls, for those who don't know. Stanford Pines. Dealt with Bill Cipher, who is basically the devil. Dipper. I put Dipper from Gravity Falls because I think he's the only kid who could nail it. Dipper is smart enough to outsmart Bill Cipher. Yeah, George here, the misogynist himself, would not figure anything out. I think Nico would actually nail it. Because in that game, Nico did all the work, essentially, and George just was an idiot. But I will say, for Scooby-Doo, yeah, I think that's an easy one, actually. I think they would all nail it. Especially if you look at the 2010 Scooby-Doo show, where they literally fight, again, a Lovecraftian demon, and win, and reset the universe. Yeah, I think they nail that. Scarecrow and Mrs. King. I would say they would actually, yeah, they'd find the culprit, not the method. Same thing. Fun fact, Scarecrow is played by Tron. Men in Black would nail it, I agree. They deal with supernatural stuff all the time. Men in Black would undoubtedly nail that. Clue have to nail it, because they figure out the culprit and weapon. Clue would definitely nail it, I think. Where did I put them? Yep. They'd get it. I kind of think Detective Pikachu would nail it, personally, just because he deals with the ghost-type Pokemon in his world. And also, you know, magic type. I think he would get it. This is Clarice from Silence of the Lambs. I think she would get the culprit, not the method. Conan's a weird one. I don't know enough about him. Benjamin Gates. I don't think he would figure anything out. I think he'd be too busy making Nicolas Cage noises and, like, trying to steal the Declaration of Independence or whatever. Lara Croft. I think Lara Croft would nail it. Nathan Drake. I think Nathan would find the culprit, not the method. Seven. I think the people from Seven would, you know, culprit, not method, same thing. Oh, this is an interesting one. I don't know if any of you have seen The Prestige, but this is the guy, one of the main characters, played by Christian Bale in that movie. And this is Christian Bale's character, Borden, who essentially is a magician competing with another magician played by Hugh Jackman. Conan would have nailed it. He seems short, but there's a reason why it all happened. In every case, he'll manage to figure out the killers, manage to kill their victims. Okay, I'll put Conan on nail it then, because I wasn't sure, so I put him over there for now. Father Brown, he's more grounded. I'd say culprit, same thing. Gromit, this is gonna sound weird. I think Gromit would nail it, and I'll tell you why. He's obviously way smarter than Wallace. Gromit is obviously the very smart, very practical one out of the two. And he has proven himself to, I think, deal with enough supernatural stuff, like in the Were-Rabbit movie especially. Sherlock Holmes from Ace Attorney, yeah, easy nail it. Same with Sherlock Holmes, because they're basically the same character. This is Ichabod Crane from Sleepy Hollow, like specifically the old, is it ABC? Like the supernatural kind of themed, like, show vaguely based on Sleepy Hollow mythos, like Headless Horseman and stuff. He'd nail it. I think that's pretty easy, because he deals with that stuff anyway. And another, this is, you may not know her, this is, what's her face? Ashley Robbins from Another Code. It's a very underrated DS game. You play as a girl who's trying to solve the mystery of her father's disappearance. And she actually does talk to a ghost in the game. So she would get it easily. Boxcar Children, once again, they're kids, they're getting iced. Sorry. Scrooge McDuck. Scrooge McDuck would also nail it. There's so many weird, like, supernatural things that happen in Duckburg in that show. The Codename Kids Next Door. As much as I actually really like that show, still kids, they're getting iced, and they're not powerful enough or smart enough like Dipper. We put him at towards the top, because he's the only kid, I guess, unless you count Conan, that would get it. Wendy from Gravity Falls. I think she's another one that would figure out the method, not the culprit. The Great Mouse Detective, Basil. I think he'd figure out the culprit, not the method. Question. That's an easy one. He'd nail it. Who suggested Inspector Chimp before? Isn't he from DC Comics? Let me look that up. Yeah, he is. Okay, he is in DC Comics. I forgot. A weird character. He would still nail it, though. Because he's from the DC Comics universe, someone put Constantine on there, he'd go, yeah, up there, too. Because, again, DC Comics. Who's this guy? He is a ghost. I don't know, does he count? He is a ghost. I haven't seen enough of Yu Hakusho. Moon Knight? Moon Knight would count. That's true. I'll throw Moon Knight on there. I don't know. With you say, because he is a ghost and he can't really talk to other ghosts. Beth suggested these two. They're from Law & Order. I don't know for them. But I would assume culprit, not the method, because they're grounded detectives. With Hellboy, for me personally, I know enough about him to know he'd nail it. Spider-Man Noir, I think the same, actually. Spider-Man Noir does deal with real magic, because, you know, he's in the Marvel universe. Same thing with, like, Jessica Jones. I'll put him next to her, actually. Looker. I'd say I put Looker up there with Detective Pikachu, because ghost types, magic types, already makes it easy. Ed, still debatable. I'll say I don't know for Ed. And Mako. I don't know. Mako's a weird one too. Mako deals with magic. There's magic in the Avatar universe, obviously. That's actually the whole focus of it. Like harnessing an element and using that kind of magic to your ability. I'd say yeah. He would nail it, for sure. I think that's the last one I'll take. Oof. And I think that ended up well. Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this video, give it a like. If you didn't like it, give it a like anyway. Liking, sharing, commenting, that all helps me out a lot with the algorithm, so I really appreciate you doing that for sure. Subscribe if you haven't already. I also stream on Twitch 4 times a week, if you want to catch me there too, playing retro games usually. Find my socials below, Blue Sky, Twitter, Instagram, all of that. I'm Noah the Otter, and I'll see you on the Otter side. Bye!